So today, going to give you a tour of Maximum Effort, as we have called our garage gym. So come on in, check it out. So approaching our garage, it's a third car garage that we added on just for CrossFit and to work out in. And you'll see to the side there, that man door that used to be on the main house, we moved it over when we added on this third car garage that wasn't here before. And that's where we keep actually the GHD. You'll see that over there in the corner. It's a pretty big piece of equipment, so it didn't quite fit well in here. But walking into the garage gym, it's pretty simple. It's not that large. It looks a lot larger in photos when you see it. It's 12 feet by 20 feet, so it's just right for two people. And I just want to give you a tour right around here and kind of show you what we did, why we did it, things we might change if we had to go back and do it all over again. So I think it's safe to start in a good place to start right here on these stars. So these stars were my wife's idea. They are thin wood that we just got at Lowe's, and we used one of those decorative metal stars that you hang on a door, and I created an outline using cardboard, and then I cut these out with a table saw, and then we spray painted them white out in the yard. And you'll see when you look really close, they're just thin wood, and they're actually screwed on there. And you'll see that one's a little bit dirty because that's the one I use for wall balls. So these stars, they're actually in perfect symmetry for a folded flag, but also that bottom row of stars is set to 10 feet. And then over here to the right, we have a set of blue stars, and these are set to 9 feet. So for the women's wall ball height and the men's wall ball height, these stars work out really, really good. And when it comes to pull-ups, I use the P4 pull-up system from Rogue. There's two different kinds you can get. This one's a little bit further from the road, or further from the wall. And this is set at, I believe, about 8.5 feet. So I'm 6'3", and then I measured about 6 inches from the top of my fingers. So when I jump up there, it's just the right height for me. So a little bit over 8 feet. The fold back rig isn't quite high enough for me. So my wife uses this, and that's adjustable there. And then these arms all can fold back to the wall if we needed to. We don't do that very often because we don't park a car in here. We don't have a lot of reason to move these, but that's an option you can do if we're doing something like box jumps, burpee box jumps side by side, and we need more space, or something with a barbell movement that we need more room. And then this is one of the coolest things. A friend of mine had a rig built that goes in between his truss system and his roof. And if you look at the very top here, it's a 15-foot ceiling, and that's built into the truss system. And it has 3 eye bolts in there where we put the rings and then the climbing rope, which of course goes to 15 feet, which is the standard height for rope climbs when it comes to a typical CrossFit workout, like what's coming up tomorrow. Now, when it comes to our timer, we use the Gymnex Timer, and that one has been really, really good for us. It works great with the free app, especially when you're traveling, but really easy to operate in whatever kind of timing you're doing, whether it's going to be an AMRAP, something just for time, whether it's a Tabata type of workout. You can custom make any workout that you want, and it goes Bluetooth straight to there. Now, when it comes to the weights and the bumpers that we use here, big fan of Fringe Sport. They ship for free out of Austin, Texas. Everything we have over here are bumpers from Fringe Sport. Something really unique about Fringe Sport, and you can find this video on YouTube. But the ring, you'll find in a lot of CrossFit gyms that they get loose over time. The center collar, and they use a type of rebar system that keeps that from happening. So you may drop those a lot and they never get loose. So these are all about 4.5 years old, and I would tell you they're just as new. The CrossFit Games bumpers, I picked those up when I volunteered at the 2019 CrossFit Games in Madison. They were used on the competition field, and then picked up a pair of those, pretty unique. They say 2019 CrossFit Games on them, and if I could have all of those, I would take them for sure. So moving on to cardio equipment that we have here in the gym. First off, Rogue Echo Bike. There's 3 main air bikes that you see out there: the Assault Bike, the Schwinn Airdyne, and the Echo Bike. Rogue came out with this and kind of reinvented the whole thing, the way this thing works. So you'll see large fins in there, much wider than your typical air bike, so a lot more resistance. The bike is also belt driven, so you don't have the chain. So one thing about that, like a typical chain bike, you coast when you stop biking. On this one here, when you stop pedaling, that bike stops. So coasting calories, coasting meters, you don't get that. But the thing is built like a tank. No reason that this thing should not last for many, many years. Second, we have the trusty old rower just standing up in the corner over here. It was definitely the first item that we purchased when it came to cardio, probably one of the most effective. And in my opinion, I don't enjoy this thing, but it's one of those things that is good for you. It's a whole body workout. We see it all the time in workouts. You can take this thing into the house in the middle of the winter. Really, it's just there calling your name to get it on some fitness. And the most recent addition was something very similar to the rower, actually built by Concept 2. Same company, actually the same fan, the same monitor is all used right here. And it's called the Concept 2 Skierg. So the Skierg is something that simulates cross-country skiing. It's a totally different kind of workout, one that really taxes your posterior chain as well as your core as you crunch down and pull those cables. So I use it almost every single day when it comes to warming up, because you can effectively warm up so quick head to toe that I've really enjoyed having it as a good addition to the garage. And it has wheels in the back here, so it is pretty easy to move, even though it has this wide base, so that kind of gets in the way, but depending on the workout, it's pretty simple to make things work in here. Now, one thing that we did here that has been just a huge benefit, you'll notice how this garage door is much higher. You'll see how that lift, now that's called a high lift kit. Typically, I'm 6'3". There's no way with a typical garage door that I would be able to lift a barbell over my head if this door was open, because it would be right above. So instead, this goes high up, 8 feet into the air. So it just rides up the front a little bit more, gives me all this room when the door is open. So moving over to this front corner, we've built this little cubby hole where we have really just miscellaneous stuff. So we keep the iPad, and that's where we drive our music for Amazon Prime, along with that Gymnex Timer app, and that's actually the app right there, controlling the wall clock. Our whiteboard and tomorrow's workout, we keep all of our PRs and times and different measurements out in the down the street, and what different things are with meters and carries and different things like that we keep there. Other miscellaneous things we have here in the garage, that's a 150 pound strongman sandbag from Rogue. That's great for carries and ground the shoulder, or just holds really. Couple 50-pound dumbbells, which are used too incredibly much. A couple sandbags. These are GoRuck sandbags. We got a 40 and a 60, along with a 100-pound Rogue feed sack. So that just drapes over your shoulders. Really good for doing lunges, carries, things like that. It doesn't really have a shape to it. It just shapes to you. Then a variety of dumbbells that we've acquired. We're missing the 40s and the 45s. Back to those bumpers again. And that cart actually had a local welder, matched what he saw on the Rogue website and just put it together. Did the exact same thing over there for the rig, that red rig. Since there's two of us, anytime we're going to do things like front squats, back squats, something we need to take from the rig, I pull those out and use those while my wife uses the fold back rig. All right, so finally inside here with the garage door down, you can get a good sense of how much room you get when it comes to having a high lift kit on the garage door. So when this is open, lots of room for barbell stuff overhead, really anything at all. And one other item I want to point out before I finish up this video were this material that we used. So this is a type of composite material that you might find on a deck. So we had some that we used at the bottom here along the edge, and we made windowsills out of it. You can write with chalk on those, wash them, they're pretty much indestructible. what they're really good for is along the edge of the garage. So when you drop a barbell, something's rolling around, it just bumps right off that. Now you will notice there is a little wound right there on the road or on the wall. That was from a bounce actually. But that material is great for minimizing damage. But one thing we wanted to do is we brought this out flat. So you'll notice in a lot of garages, there's a ledge throughout the garage. Now, when it's flat, it's great for wall balls, handstand push-ups. It just, again, maximizes the space. Other things we have in here, Rogue wall balls. We got our beloved chalk bucket with stickers from craft breweries and places we love. Four kettlebells from 26 pounds to 70 pounds. All the shoes, you gotta have the shoes. Big fan of the Nano and the GoRuck ballistic trainers right there. And then last but not least, just a few other items. We have a few slam balls from Fringe Sport, 30 and a 20. We don't use those so much anymore, simply because CrossFit Lynchman doesn't program slam ball movements much. So sometimes we'll do, like 100 slam balls for time, something like that. But those don't get used too much. Of course, we have cones, which when we do things like 10-meter shuttle sprints or other short things, we may use those. A measuring wheel right there so we can measure out distance depending on what we're doing. And then this is the Matador for strict dips, and it mounts right here on the fold back rig. A couple PVCs for pass-throughs that we do almost every day. A couple barbells, got a Bella bar from Rogue for Margie, my wife, as well as 2 men's bars, including the blue Cerakote there. Outside of that, I believe the only thing I haven't mentioned was that third box, which is a Fringe Sport soft-sided box. One reason we got this is it's hard to find a small box soft-sided. Most are the standard 30 by 24 by 20, like the one you see there. And this is actually a smaller one. So 24 by 20 by 16, I believe, which we've been a huge fan of. So that's it. That's the garage gym tour. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about really anything at all, I don't think I would change anything. Now that we've been in here for about 4 years, it's really everything you could possibly want. Yes, it's tight. Yes, it's cozy, but for just us, it's perfect. So if you ever have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below, and appreciate you watching, and we'll talk to you guys later.